Conflict and raised voices is something that gets to all of us HSPs more than other people. It gets to almost everyone, but it can be especially stressful for highly sensitive people because we take that in and we really feel it a lot of the times. So let's do a little meditation in the Work of Byron Katie to see if we can find a little more space for ourselves, a little more like just an easier way of experiencing that. So the first step is to look for a specific situation when someone, in this case, let's think of someone other than you arguing, like two people arguing in your environment, and you can hear their voices, they're shouting at each other, or they're using that kind of stressed tone of voice, and find a specific moment. We'll look for the last time or look for a time that stands out. Someone, two people arguing. So for example, I'm thinking about my mother-in-law. She's 91. She has a little bit of dementia and she doesn't like showering. And so her daughters come once a week and help her shower. And I'm thinking of a time a couple weeks ago where she was just really resistant and really angry at them and fighting, and there's loud complaining voices. It's the kind of thing that makes me very uncomfortable. So find a situation like that for yourself and let's do the work. So once you find the situation, let's look for the thought that is going on in your mind. For example, it might be something like, I want everyone to get along. That's certainly a common one for me in a situation like that. But let's go even deeper. Like, why do I want everyone to get along? And for me, it can be something like, I can't rest until everything is peaceful. So let's look at that thought and question it together. When you look at this situation that you're faced with, these raised voices, argument, conflict, you can't rest until everything is peaceful. Is that true? I'm going to say yes for me. And can you absolutely know it's true? You can't rest until everything is peaceful in this situation. And I'm going with the no. So how do you react? What happens when you think that you can't rest until everything is peaceful and you're watching this argument unfold in front of you? Where do you feel it in your body? I notice it in my solar plexus, kind of a tension. My whole body starts to tense. And how do you treat the situation? What do you do? How do you react to the situation? I find myself pulling back. I find myself wishing it would just go away. And I find myself looking back into past situations where this kind of thing happened again. And I know it's going to happen again. So I feel really powerless. I focus on the energy in the voices. There's this raised voice and this tone of conflict, complaining. And that gets to me. It gets inside of me. So how else do you react when you see or when you think that you can't rest until everything is peaceful? I can't rest. I won't rest. It's like there's something going on here. So I'm at the mercy of this to subside before I can move on with anything else. I notice my thinking Like my brain just kind of shuts down. There's not much else I can think of, focus on. So this is reaction. And how do you treat the other people? For me, I look down on them. Even though my mother-in-law has dementia, I'm I'm not I'm looking down on her. There's contempt there. I'm treating her like she should be a normal person. She shouldn't have these issues that come with it's really like a mental problem. Brain is not working. And I don't have any compassion. I'm just like, oh, if you're going to be mean, then I don't want anything to do with you. I reject her. And then I keep this emotional distance. Even after the argument, there's this emotional distance. Not going to get too close, not going to give her too much. Yeah, I'm in a way passive aggressive. So who would you be without the thought that you can't rest until everything is peaceful and you're watching this argument unfold around you? Without that thought, I would not be as much resisting the argument. Still loud, still kind of annoying, but it's less grating somehow. Less important somehow to get to this resolution. I kind of think, okay, well, that's understandable. They say that people with dementia don't like water on their body. So I'm like, okay, yeah. From her point of view, she probably thinks she's being tortured. And according to her memory, she showers every day, even though she doesn't. So without the thought, I can't rest until everything's peaceful. It's a feeling of allowing that argument to happen. Almost like something has to come out. There's something stressful for her, stressful going on inside. And I'm almost respectful of that process. Just like, it has to come out. Like, better out than in. So without that thought, I also start seeing more of my environment. With the thought, I'm focused on her. Without the thought, I'm aware of the fact that there's other things I'm doing. Getting ready to go out the door, need to get the grocery bags. I'm not going to be around for the whole thing. I even feel a little bit of gratitude to her daughters for coming and taking care of her this way. Yeah, I see the goodness of it. She's allowed to stay in her own home. So without thought, the mind is broadening. Mind is opening. And I see options, like I can still leave if it's too much for me. Yeah, I'm not a victim. So let's turn the thought around. The statement is, I can't rest until everything is peaceful. Turnaround could be, I can rest even when nothing is peaceful. So how is it possible to be able to rest even when nothing or not everything is peaceful? That's the question. So in your situation, how is it possible to rest when you hear those loud voices? I'm thinking resting means sitting in the situation in a more accepting way. When I'm watching the argument, I'm watching it more neutrally without this desire to shut it down. There's no fight inside of me. And it's just a witnessing. So I can rest on a certain level. It still may have its effects. The anger is still there in the other person. I hear the loudness that affects me still, but it's less grating when I'm not trying to change it. So I can rest even when everything is not peaceful. Depends on how I see it. When I see it as just natural, understandable, normal issue for someone with dementia. In fact, that is a normal issue, just anger. It's common with dementia. So I'm seeing it like objectively, almost the way a doctor would see it. And I can put up with it that way. It's not as grating because she could get really loud. Yeah. So I can rest even if everything's not peaceful, if I'm not engaging and trying to change it, because that draws me into it and makes it worse. I can rest also because I can put more distance between me and that situation. I can go on about my business. Still aware of it. Not like I'm unaware, but I'm not resisting. So let's try another turnaround. Instead of I can't rest until everything is peaceful, turn it around to I can't, or nothing can be peaceful until I can rest. So everything is dependent on me to rest in order to be peaceful. So how's that even possible? How's it possible that my peace is as important for the external peace as what they're doing? Well, for one, I don't fuel it. If I'm peaceful, if I'm okay, if I'm resting, then I'm not going to be aggravating the situation in any way. So the turnaround is a funny one. Like, everything can't be peaceful, or everything can't rest until I'm peaceful. Maybe rest in the sense of rest the way it is. Argument is an argument, and it is part of life. And it can just rest in itself and be an argument. Like if I just allow it to be an argument. So it can't rest until I see it that way. It can't just be easygoing until I see it that way. Also, when I'm peaceful, I often see ways of interacting that also generate peace. So I might just find a word, I might just have a smile, or I might just have a glance that brings peace in that situation. Like just a look of understanding, even though I'm not involved, might completely calm the situation. So my peace is actually probably more central, certainly for me, but it may even influence others.